Hello, and thank you for joining us. Today, I have for you Enrique Acosta Gonzalez. Now, you may notice that he is not Matthew Warboy, and and believe it or not, that is going to be part of our story and our journey today. I have never met someone in moments and needed to thank them so much. So, really, thank you for being here, Enrique. Thank you for saying yes. At short notice, our mutual colleague Matthew is really under the weather, so he's in our thoughts today. But I promise you, family, you are in for a treat. So, Enrique, tell us a little bit about what you've been doing.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for inviting me and considering me for your show. It is truly an honor to be able to share with you today, uh, not only a little bit about me, but what we're going to talk about. So let's cover a little bit about me. 26-year Navy veteran, retired, did meteorology and oceanography.
Hmm.
So go STEM, uh,
Yeah.
and so decided that, hey, let me take this corporate thing and see what I could do with it. So did corporate for a couple of years. Decided that you get to a stage in life where your tolerance for inability to lead right goes down. It
Okay.
goes
Yeah.
down. So I just say, why feel that way? Why don't you just turn what you see into teachable moments, get some training, and start teaching leaders.
Okay.
And I always I break it down into three sections. Which one is college graduates that have no idea what leadership is,
Okay.
and I train them. And then it's leaders that are struggling. That's sometimes you look at my content and I'll quote, taking you from success to success.
Yeah.
Uh, but and so leaders that are struggling in their positions. And then the third is one of my favorite outside of the college one is teaching and training executive leadership how to find their heart for leadership again, because it gets pretty hard up there. They say it gets lonely, it shouldn't be, but they lose their heart for leadership, and then it just becomes a mundane thing, and you let other people lead in your stead. So those three positions in life I cover on the leadership spectrum. And so I just decided to do that. And here recently, I took another a pivot in my venture, and I got hired to do organizational development, developmental type of work, which I'm happy about.
Oh, that is fabulous. Now, where are you doing that?
I actually TI Verbatim uh, Consulting. They opened their doors to me, have been so gracious. I even did a video, about how I felt about my first day. It's just been a godsend, and I thank them.
That is really awesome. Thank you for sharing. So, one of the things that I found you to be an expert in is helping leaders develop a leadership mindset, specifically tackling those invisible wounds. Tell me, how do you do that?
Yeah, we all have invisible wounds.
Absolutely.
Let's just get that right out right out the gate.
Hmm.
Um, I focus on the things that you can't see,
Hmm.
but we all know we go through, right?
Right.
And so my leadership style is it's very, some would say, intrusive. But
Okay.
in order to get to the bottom line, you got to dig deep, right? So
Okay.
that's with everything that you do. If you're trying to do something great, you really gotta dig in deep, and get yourself those, what I call David moments, where
Okay.
no one's on your side and they all want to kill you, right? So it's one of those deep down moments where you say, I got to I got to get this done come hell or high water.
Uh-huh.
So in retrospect, or on the flip to that, in order to deal with some things that need to be dealt with, you got to also dig in deep, and that's why I refer to my leadership development intrusive.
Okay.
Once you deal with those wounds that you can't see, or how about this, that you hide very well,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because you have them. It just is it seen.
Wait,
Then
let's hover over that. Let's
mhm.
get specific. Let's get specific. What kind of wounds are people hiding, or that you've been able to see that we will use, or that's buried, I should say, that's
Mhm,
buried, that
mhm.
will prevent us from being good leaders? That's what I want to get at. What have you
Yeah.
seen? Give us a specific example.
Well, I'll give you my example,
Okay.
right? Because I had to go through this before I could realize that, hey, this is something that needs to be dealt with.
Okay.
So I was by everybody's account, I have always been a good man,
Okay.
but I had a struggle with truth,
Mm.
you know, because it was my aim to hide truth in order so that I can continue to look good in people's eyes.
Mm.
Well, that hiding of truth only amounted into a pile heap of lies. And then once you get overrun by lies, there's no way for you to see truth. So although I was a good man to everybody's account, I lost myself
Mm.
because I was busy living somebody else's truth. And so I became, I would just say, deceptive. It wasn't who I was. Now I didn't do anything in terms of proving them wrong, but inside of me, I
Mm.
was I was getting rotten inside because of my inability to just accept myself for who I was, and I was just playing roles, and so uh,
That
you know,
is,
uh,
that is so profound. Really. I mean, honestly, I could make a whole show about that piece alone. You were hiding truth, and I have to say that we are asking people so often to live authentic,
mhm,
be authentic. When you're doing these lives, be authentic, yada yada yada. We're constantly saying that, and that
mhm,
is because that has been part of our society.
yep,
People hide their truth. What does that say? You put your highlights on social media,
mhm.
but you're hiding, the toxicity or the pain that you're actually
Right.
going through. Um, that is really part of our culture these days.
Uh,
Thank you so
It
much.
is. And it's easy to fall into because then everybody's doing it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The problem is everybody wants authenticity, but don't like truth.
Mm.
So which is it that you want? Because authenticity may be a role.
Okay.
And so when a person lives in truth, they have nothing to hide. As a matter of fact, they relish the fact that they don't have to hide a thing because there's nothing to hide. Everything they do is in truth. And so, in terms of leadership, I saw a lot of me, and not to my own praise, but I was very successful, and I continue to be successful. But now it's a different success. Now it's a pure success, right? I was the success.
Okay.
Yeah, I had allowed what I consider K factors to seep into the middle of my success, And the reason why I make it a big K when I talk, because it was a big thing.
So let's break that down. What are
Mhm.
the K factors?
Yeah, K factors are basically anything that you allow to get in the middle of your true success.
Mm-hmm.
And by true success, I mean truth success.
Okay.
And so once you allow things to overrun who you truly are, you just allowed K factors to develop. Now, for many people, it's different things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
For me, it was truth itself. And as a minister, that's a terrible thing to say,
Okay.
right? That truth was your battle when all you should be doing is standing for truth. But no, that was my deal. So um anything that hinders you from being true to your success is what K factors are.
That is profound and amazing. Absolutely. So my mind is just exploding with ideas and things of that nature. But when you find a area where you have a K factor, what
Mhm.
should be your next step?
You have to be comfortable with speaking it,
Okay.
because awareness, that's nice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That you are aware is nice. It's sort of like the difference between sympathy, empathy, and compassion.
Okay.
You would think they're all the same, except that sympathy allows you to listen.
Mm-hmm.
Empathy allows you to feel,
Mm-hmm.
and compassion allows you to act.
Yes.
Right. So those are the three different things so you must be aware, and that
Uh-huh.
is the first step. You must be comfortable with actually speaking that's an issue.
Okay.
uh and then you must be hungry enough to kill that thing, and get help, right? And that's where I come in.
So I don't know if you pay any attention whatsoever to pop culture, but some of my audience does. Are you familiar with the person Christy Teigen?
I believe I am, but I'm not going to say for sure.
That's fine. She's married to John Legend, and she happens to be a fan and supporter of President Biden. And I'm bringing her up for a reason now, so give me a little leeway.
Hmm.
She recently asked him to unfollow her so that she could be her authentic self because she just couldn't see herself tweeting some of the things that she enjoys
Hmm.
while he was following her. And so she actually has developed this reputation for really being authentic, for showing her messiness, and she's a supermodel as well, for showing her ugly self and her ugly cry and the loss of her baby, and that has really drawn people in. At the same time, Christy has received, a lot of pushback about her showing too much of herself.
Hmm.
The average person is not made for the pressure that you get when you are really, really truthful. And so, what characteristics do we need to develop in order to withstand the pressure that you receive once you truly become authentic and truthful?
Well, this is funny that you mentioned her. I do know her,
Mhm.
by looking at the things, and I did hear about that unfortunate and sad moment in their life. Um, the funny thing is that pressure is perceived.
Okay.
When you live in total truth, there is no pressure. There's no fear.
Mm-hmm.
There's no doubt. There's no lack of hope. There's no lack of attaining.
I have to make you pause. Are you telling me that there is a place in leadership and in our hearts where there is no
Mhm.
fear and no imposter syndrome? Yes,
And
more.
and look, while you saying all that, my hairs are standing up because you just got it. You just got it. There is a place. But you know, the very first thing you got to do is decide what you want to do, because you can't live in truth and be a people pleaser,
Mm.
right? You can't do both.
Can you be a perfectionist?
Actually, truth makes you perfect.
Okay. Okay.
Truth allows you to live a more perfect life. And so why I said that pressure is perceived is because if you look outside of truth, you get everybody else.
Mm.
But if you live in truth, you live in that. And so a lot of people don't want to decide. Now that decision will come with some consequences, right? Because as you mentioned, most of this world operates outside of the center of truth. They operate on the outskirts of truth, where you can decide for yourself whether it's true or not,
Okay.
instead of being solid on the fact that, oh, that's true.
So, truth is a very interesting word because I have been known to tell people, um, you can have your own truth, but you cannot have your own facts because the way you decide to look at them and embrace them, that's on you. But if your truth is is missing certain facts, then you have created yourself a mirage.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the key to truth, and in a a cultural environment, everybody has a version of truth,
Mhm,
right?
mhm,
Everybody.
mhm.
You'll ask anyone, what did you see? They have a vantage point.
Right,
It's how they
absolutely.
saw it, but that truth is anchored on something. And so truth is not just flowing free out here, you just
Okay.
grab it. um, it has to be anchored on something. What happens is that a lot of people anchor their truth on floating ships, not on the ground.
Wow. So I'm going to ask you for an example of a floating ship, but I want our audience to know that you are watching Enrique Acosta Gonzalez on Epic Understanding. I thank you for all the wisdom that you are giving us. So, what would be a specific example of a floating ship when it comes to truth?
People,
Okay.
a lot of people's truth, and I'll tell you because this just happened to us here at my household in the last couple of days.
Okay.
Um, Something tragic happened to a family member that not our immediate family, but a loved one in our family circle.
Okay.
A report was made.
Hmm.
We ran with that. That was the report. The report ended up being not true.
Hmm.
We went through all kinds, let me tell you, all kinds of emotional and mental roller coasters
Okay.
based on that perceived truth that ended up being true.
Okay. Wait,
So,
the
so,
perceived
so
truth ended up being true or false?
false.
False. Okay.
Yes, it ended up
Got it.
because it was anchored on a person. We got that truth, or at least we thought, from a person that was going through their own emotional roller coasters.
I see. I see.
And so as long as truth And this is, well, I'm gonna share this verse. This is who I am. There's a verse in the Bible that says, "Cursed is he that trusts in men."
Ah,
And
that's out of Proverbs.
I'm like, what? I've I've lived my life based on, that relationship. And so there is a form of truth in that anchor, but it's a ship. It's not rock. You're not digging that anchor into the rock.
Mhm,
You're anchored to a floating vessel that
mhm,
goes wherever the wind takes them.
mhm, mhm.
And so as long as your truth is based on a floating vessel, you're going to be unstable.
I had a great conversation with author, best-selling author Willie Jolly, and he was saying to me that wise people place their thoughts on principles because a principle is always true.
Mhm.
Like the law of gravity. If you drop something, it's gonna fall.
And that was a very wise statement, which brings us to the what how I anchor my truth. My truth is anchored on the eternal God.
Mm,
Here before me, here after me.
there you go.
There's no swaying there, right? I'm linked in, anchored down on that. And so the truths become more livable.
Okay.
They're stable.
Mhm.
I could always run to that
Okay.
and get the same answer. It is absolute.
Wow. So I have to ask you this because it is so prevalent in the society. And I am not one, although I am a believer, I am not one to tell anybody what to believe because my belief tells me just like the Holy Spirit came for me, He's coming for you in the right timing.
Exactly.
That said, I always like to be able to coach and mentor people where they are. So, how would you advise people who have found a relationship without our Creator to mentor someone who has not yet found a relationship? So, in that, I'm including um, the agnostics
Mhm.
and atheists. And sometimes atheists don't even believe that they'll ever believe. I mean, to
Right.
believe that you'll never believe is, a pretty solid place to be. So, how do you connect with people who have that mindset?
Yeah. Live the word.
Mhm,
Don't say it.
mhm.
It makes no sense to ever repeat a word in the Bible if you're not willing to live it.
Okay, okay,
So your life has to speak to them. They're not going to believe words on a paper. I could
okay.
write a version of whatever I want. The true belief comes from the testimony of the person living what they believe,
So,
right? So,
let's be practical. I have to get
yeah,
practical because
yeah,
people,
let's go.
my audience has to leave here with something that they can do and something actionable. I am a leader and
Hmm.
I have my leadership team, okay? And part of my guidance is to inspire them and to develop them and help them have good habits, okay?
Yeah,
To empower the leader within. What can I show them? What can I tell them? How can I help them develop their team if they do not have the foundation, which where you're coming from, which is
yeah,
Christ? What are we telling them? How can we help them find an anchor?
yeah. Well, for those that don't have the background that
Mhm,
I have,
mhm,
what is good? What is it that is good that you see in your doctrine at your job, in your principles at your job, your guiding principles, your mission, your ethic statements, and all that? What is it that is good?
okay.
So identify those good things that you want others to emulate and make your life, because leaders want others to make their life easier, right? if,
Right, right,
if every leader could just go in the room and say, I need this, and it's done, wow, what an easy day. So,
right, right.
but you still got to lead, right? So
Absolutely.
identify those things that you would love to see in your groups, and jot them down.
Okay.
So not only did you identify them, you jotted them down, and now you want to see if what you want from someone else you can deliver.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you can deliver the items on your list,
Okay.
then you are leading soundly, because you already identified these things as being good. If you can lead from that position, not only will you begin to live a good and what we would call sound life, regardless of your belief,
Okay.
you will also enrich the follower, because when they look up, they see exactly what you're asking for.
Mm-hmm.
Very practical, very easy to do, but it's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard, right? So, but the first step is,
Simple,
yeah,
not easy.
yeah.
Simple, not easy.
but it's something that you can do.
Absolutely. So our time is coming to a close. And I just want to thank you for being with us. But before you go, can you recommend a few things for our audience? What I'm looking for is a person they should follow, a book they should read, and some wise closing words from you.
Yeah, it's funny that you asked me a person they should follow. Um, a person that you should follow is a person that you identify that will make you better. So I'm
O-
not going to put a name to that,
Okay.
because everybody has their flavor.
Okay.
But if they make you better, you
Mhm.
need to follow.
Okay.
Right.
Is there
So
anyone you find interesting?
John Maxwell is a person that I
Yeah.
follow.
Yeah. Absolutely.
so
John
so
C. Maxwell. Yeah.
right. So that's, but I've followed him since the 90s. So he's not, but
Okay.
I still continue to.
That's great.
That's one for me.
Okay.
Um, a book that you should read, and I'm just gonna stick to the leadership stuff. I read a book this last summer called Catching Leadership. Right,
Oh,
look it up. Look up the author. Very humble man, but great book for you to dive into if you want to know leadership.
okay. Okay.
Um, and wise words. Since we've been talking about anchor and truth, seek to live truth. Be comfortable with the fact that not everybody's gonna love you,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? But you should love. And if you could do that, you'll be winning.
All right. Those are wise words, and I know you are winning. Thank you so much, Enrique. Thank you, Epic Understanding family. You are fabulous. I'll be back here in just a couple of hours, and I'm looking forward to seeing you then. Bye bye for now.